Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're on a mission, a really delicious one. We've got a listener who sent in this fantastic stack of sources to help us get a high-speed masterclass in German cuisine.
Yeah, and the material is great. It's this really interesting blend. It's part history, part cultural study, and then part super specific recipe guide.
Exactly. It's all focused on decoding the 5 most beloved dishes in Germany.
Wait, we're not just getting ingredient lists here, which is what I love. We're
Yeah.
getting the why. The sources explain why these particular dishes became such cultural staples. Their, sometimes surprising origins.
And the practical tips, those little insider tricks that make all the difference.
Right, the difference between just a good meal and something that tastes authentically German.
So our mission is to give you that shortcut. We're going beyond just, this is a sausage, to really understanding the history that's embedded in how these things are made, from medieval recipes to modern desserts. If you want to talk German food like you know what you're talking about, this is the deep dive for you. So where do we start? Let's jump into street food. In Germany, that seems to mean sausages.
It really does, and the sources set up this fantastic contrast between two of them.
Let's start with the classic, the foundational one, the Bratwurst. This is the ancient staple, right?
Absolutely. The history here goes way back. I mean, we're talking the Middle Ages. It's not just old, it's deeply traditional.
Okay.
And what's fascinating here is how fiercely regional it is. You might think, oh, it's a sausage, but for regions like Bavaria or Thuringen, and especially Nuremberg, their bratwurst defines their culinary identity.
How so?
It's all in the details. The specific spice mix, the exact length, even the thickness of the casing. It's a point of local pride.
So it's much more than just a quick snack.
Yeah.
And it's usually served pretty simply, right? In a roll, maybe with some mustard.
Yeah, very simple. But let's get practical, because if you're trying to cook one of the thicker, really high-quality ones at home, there's a real risk of, explosion.
The casing splitting. I've had that happen. It's a disaster.
It's the worst. All the juices and flavor just escape. So the sources give this crucial tip, and it's what separates, the amateurs from the pros. You have to manage the casing tension.
How do you do that?
You score it. For those thicker sausages, whether you're grilling or pan frying, you just make a few light, shallow cuts on the surface.
Just a couple quick slits.
Exactly. Just light cuts. It lets the pressure release evenly as the fat renders during that 8 to 10 minutes of cooking. It prevents the big burst, and you get this perfectly browned, juicy sausage with a nice snap to the casing.
Okay, that makes so much sense. So we have Bratwurst, which is all about ancient regional tradition. And then the sources immediately contrast it with currywurst.
The perfect foil. I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, currywurst is completely modern. It's an urban post-war invention.
Born in Berlin right after World War II.
In the rubble of Berlin, yeah. And the origin story is like a perfect food legend.
The one about Herta Hewer.
That's the one. The legend is she was this food stall owner. Resources were incredibly scarce, but she got her hands on ketchup and, crucially, curry powder from British soldiers who were stationed in the city.
2 things that would have been totally exotic at the time.
Completely. And she just, sliced up a fried pork sausage and poured this new sauce over it. It was an instant hit. It basically became a symbol of Berlin's ingenuity.
But if you try to make it at home, you realize it's not just mixing ketchup and curry powder. That would be too flat.
Way too flat or too sweet. The sources give a much better insight into the sauce. The base is ketchup and curry powder, sure, about 1 or 2 tablespoons of the powder, but to get that depth, you need tomato paste.
For richness.
For intensity, yeah. And then a little sweetener, like sugar or honey. And then the secret weapon, acidity.
You mean vinegar?
Yes, just a dash of apple or grape vinegar. That's what cuts through the fat of the sausage and the sweetness. It makes the whole thing pop.
And then you serve it sliced with tons of sauce, maybe some fries.
And always a final dusting of more curry powder on top.
So from street food, let's move to the dinner table. To the main event, the Schnitzel. It's beloved all over Germany, but the sources are very clear. It's not originally German.
No, you have to give credit where it's due. It's traditionally Austrian. The Wiener Schnitzel from Vienna is the original template.
But Germany just completely adopted it.
Totally, which shows how adaptive the cuisine can be, and that adaptation is really clear in the choice of meat.
Because the Viennese original is strictly veal, right?
Strictly veal. But in Germany today, it's very commonly made with pork. That's called a Schnitzel Wiener Art, or Viennese style, or chicken.
And the sources mentioned another one, a beef version, something called Dana Bonfile.
Yeah, which was interesting. That's the Turkish term for beef fillet.
So is that a Turkish influence on the dish itself?
Not on the method, no. It just points to the, globalization of things. It's a common, high-quality, lean cut of beef that's available and just happens to work perfectly when you pound it thin.
Okay. But no matter the meat, the presentation is always the same. Potato salad or fries, and that slice of lemon.
Oh, the lemon is non-negotiable.
It's not just decoration, is it?
Not at all. That squeeze of acid does the exact same thing as the vinegar in the currywurst sauce. It cuts the fat of the frying and just lifts all the flavors. But the real key to a great schnitzel is the technique. It's all about the three-step breading process.
So walk us through that. What's the biggest mistake people make?
The biggest mistake is getting a tough, chewy result or having the breading burn before the meat is cooked. And that all comes down to the very first step. You must pound the meat thinly.
Paper thin.
As thin as you can get it without it tearing. The sources suggest doing it between 2 pieces of plastic wrap. Keeps everything clean and protects the meat. Once it's thin, you season it with salt and pepper.
Okay, so we have the perfectly thin cutlet. Now for that famous crispy coating.
It's all about the sequence. It has to be in this order. 1, a light dusting of flour, and you have to shake off all the excess. Too much flour makes it pasty.
Got it. Flour first.
2, a dip in beaten egg, making sure it's fully coated. And 3, press it into breadcrumbs. And the key here is to press lightly. You're not trying to mash it on there. You want to seal it, but leave little air pockets.
That's what creates that puffy, wavy crust you sometimes see.
Exactly. Then it has to go into hot oil. If the oil's not hot enough, the breading gets greasy and soggy. Fry it fast, 3 to 4 minutes aside until it's golden brown.
And then drain it.
Immediately. On paper towels. Get that surface oil off to keep it super crispy. That process is what defines a perfect schnitzel.
It's all about technique. Okay, moving from the mains to the accompaniments. The 2 dishes that seem to be on every plate. Sauerkraut and Bratkartoffel.
Yes, the backbone of the German plate.
Yeah.
And they connect modern dining right back to historical necessity.
Let's start with sauerkraut. We think of it as just, sour cabbage, but its history is way more important than that.
So much more. I mean, it's just salt-fermented cabbage, but its invention was literally a matter of survival for centuries. The aha moment in the sources is realizing this was the primary way people got vitamin C through the long, harsh winters.
When no fresh vegetables were available.
Exactly. It has a long shelf life. It's full of nutrients. It literally prevented diseases like scurvy. We forget how critical fermentation was.
And now we know about probiotics, so it's still relevant. But the sources made a point about the recipe. We're not talking about the old school multi-week fermentation process here.
Right, that's a whole commitment. The recipe provided is the practical, quick version that most people would use at home, starting with ready-made sauerkraut from a jar or a bag.
And how do you make that taste good? How do you elevate it?
It's all in the simmer. You start by sautéing some onions, maybe in butter for richness. Then you add the sauerkraut, some water or broth, and you just let it simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes.
That's it.
That's basically it. You can add a bay leaf or some peppercorns for extra flavor, but the goal is just to develop a bit of depth quickly. It's an achievable weeknight side dish.
And that sourness pairs perfectly with the other classic side, Bratkartoffel, German fried potatoes.
The ultimate comfort food. You find it everywhere, from home kitchens to beer houses.
And the thing that makes it different from just, home fries, is that you don't start with raw potatoes.
No, absolutely not. If we connect this to resourceful cooking, the whole method is defined by using pre-boiled potatoes.
Why is that step so important? Why boil them first?
It's all about controlling the texture. By pre-boiling them until they're just firm and then letting them cool completely, you guarantee the inside is already cooked and soft.
So when you fry them, you're only focused on the outside.
Exactly. You can focus all your energy on getting that perfect, crispy, golden brown crust. You usually start by frying some onions and maybe some little bits of bacon or ham.
Let their fat render out.
Right. Then you add the sliced or diced potatoes to the hot pan and fry them over medium-high heat. You don't stir them too much, you let that crust form. Season with salt and pepper, finish with fresh parsley. It's simple, but that method gives you a result that's crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside. Never soggy.
That sounds incredible. Okay, that brings us to our last stop, the sweet finish. The global superstar, Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte.
The Black Forest cake.
Everyone knows this cake, but I think few people realize how specific the components really have to be.
It's a dessert that carries a lot of expectation, and it's named for its origin region, the Schwarzwald, the Black Forest.
So what are the non-negotiable parts of a true Black Forest cake?
It's a trifecta. You have the dark chocolate sponge cake, you have tons of whipped cream, and you have cherries. And traditionally, a serious amount of kirsch.
What exactly is Kirsch?
It's a clear, unsweetened cherry liqueur or a brandy. It's quite strong, and that boozy, slightly bitter cherry flavor is fundamental to the traditional cake.
And that's a key point, because the recipe we were given is specifically an alcohol-free version.
Which is a very practical choice for a home baker, you know. The recipe cleverly uses cherry juice from the cherry compote to moisten the cake layers instead. It keeps the flavor profile but makes it family-friendly.
So walk us through the construction. This isn't a simple cake to just throw together.
No, this requires patience. You have to have your three main elements prepared and, crucially, cooled. You have your chocolate sponge, you have your whipped cream, whipped until it's stiff, and you have your cherry sauce or compote, which is also cooled.
So assembly is like a careful engineering project.
It kind of is. You slice your cooled sponge into three layers. You moisten each layer with the cherry juice, or the kirsch. Then you start building sponge, then a layer of the cherry sauce, then a thick layer of cream. Repeat, close with the final sponge layer, then you cover the whole thing in cream.
And then comes the single most important step. The one thing that will ruin the cake if you skip it.
The chilling. The rest period. If you try to cut and serve this cake right after you assemble it, it will be a mess. The layers will slide, the cream will ooze out.
The flavors won't have blended.
Not at all. It has to go into the refrigerator for at least 3 to 4 hours. Honestly, overnight is even better. That time lets everything settle and firm up. The moisture soaks into the cake. It is the critical step.
Wow. Okay, so when we step back and look at these 5 dishes, Bratwurst, Currywurst, Schnitzel, Sauerkraut, and this cake, what do they tell us about German cuisine as a whole?
They show this really fascinating spectrum. On one end, you have this fierce, almost stubborn dedication to regional tradition with the Bratwurst. But then you have this incredible adaptability.
Right, adopting an Austrian dish like Schnitzel or creating something totally new like Currywurst.
Exactly, and it's all grounded by these simple, historically vital side dishes like sauerkraut. It's a cuisine of contrasts.
And the sources kept coming back to this theme of balancing the ideal-like multi-day fermentation or using strong liqueur with the practical, achievable home recipe.
Yeah, the focus is clearly on achievable mastery. These little details, scoring the sausage, the three-step breading, pre-boiling the potatoes, chilling the cake, that's what transforms simple food into a celebrated cuisine.
It's a shortcut to understanding the culture, not just the cooking. The sources ended by asking you, the listener, which dish you'd want to explore more. And that really leads into our final thought.
It does. I mean, consider the sheer difference in origin here. You have a medieval tradition like Bratwurst, preserved for centuries, sitting on the same most popular list as Currywurst, which was invented 60 or 70 years ago using ingredients from occupying soldiers.
It's a huge contrast.
So we'll leave you with this provocative thought. How does a single national cuisine manage to hold so tightly to its deep, specific regional histories while also being so open to welcoming and celebrating such wildly different modern innovations? That's something to chew on while you wait for your Black Forest cake to chill.
Food for thought indeed. That wraps up this deep dive.